Welcome. I'm Sean Kajayan. I've developed a jury selection system called the Jury Selection Pro. Exploring jurors' prejudices is very important. When you ask a juror how they feel about the burden of proof, and they say, well, I don't know if it's entirely fair. I don't think it's fair to put the burden of proof on the government. You see, you have to explore that further. You ask the juror next to him, sir, you heard what Juror Smith had to say. How do you feel about that? And then this way, you bring out their prejudices. When Juror Smith answers you in the way that he did, you ask him why. You don't try to fix that opinion or try to educate him on the law. What you do is you ask the next juror how they feel. You want to hear from these jurors their prejudices, their predispositions. And after they answer you, you thank them. See, it's important to be friendly and to be honest. For example, you're letting them know that you're appreciating their honest answers, because this is what you want to hear during jury selection. Because you can't change their opinions, and so it's important to hear their predispositions before you accidentally impanel them onto a jury. A potential juror is not going to freely admit to you his or her affinity towards law enforcement. And so you have to develop not only those challenges and those bases, but also non-traditional challenges. A juror's inability to speak English well, their inability to communicate, talk in the English language is important, because if they can't communicate properly during jury selection and can't easily answer the judge's questions, how could we expect these jurors to understand these complicated jury instructions? Look at the jurors. While you're asking a juror a question, if another juror reacts a different way, either speak to that juror at that time or keep that in mind and discuss it with the judge and challenge that other juror that had those facial reactions, or, for example, being inattentive or falling asleep or shrugging their shoulders while answering in a particular way that is inconsistent with their body language. You have to embrace these moments and use them to challenge those jurors. You only have a certain amount of peremptory challenges. And so don't be afraid to challenge for cause as many jurors as possible. Keep in mind, jurors have not come necessarily willingly to jury selection. They've been summoned as jurors in a particular case. They may not like you, they may not know you yet, and they certainly don't know your client. And so with that, you have to understand they expect lawyers to be competent, effective, focused. So with that, understand that the jurors are looking at you and your client at all times. So when the judge asks you to come to sidebar, you have to quickly, don't waste time, don't lollygag, quickly go to sidebar. And regardless of what happens at sidebar, you have to act and behave like you won. Also understand the judge's role. He's more likely not inclined to pick the most fair jury, but more likely inclined to pick 12 jurors and just move this case along. And so you have to understand, you have to make a record. Make a record for your cause challenges, and that record includes any facial reactions potential jurors had, or anything that would possibly relate to cause bases for challenges, including prejudices, biases, inability to speak English, mental infirmity, or anything else you can think of. The Jury Selection Pro allows you to note the important responses of jurors, of course, their name, their occupation, and so forth, but also allows you to more easily, as soon as the juror is excused for cause or peremptories or whatever it may be, you can easily replace the juror with the other cards that you've already filled out. And so you can see quite easily that this process has become very effective and focused. There are no scribbles on a yellow pad that you can't read or stickies that make no sense because you are stressed for time. No. This Jury Selection Pro and its cards and its grid allows you to easily remove jurors, replace them with cards that have already filled out. You've already formed opinions about these jurors because you filled out the cards appropriately. And so when you go to sidebar, you take your grid with you, and you are ready to go. You're ready to challenge 20, 30, 40 jurors, however many it takes for you to win your case.